Sure.
Earlier this month, a bipartisan group of lawmakers on the House Oversight Committee voted to subpoena you to appear for a closed-door deposition. Will you commit to complying with that subpoena and appearing for a closed-door deposition?
I made it crystal clear. I will follow the law.
But
Next question.
Next
question.
Victim attorneys say that the release of identifying of Epstein victims was one of the single most egregious violations of victim privacy in modern American history. You built your career on being a victim advocate.
Yeah.
Will you apologize to the victims? What do you have to say for that conduct?
Can you explain what you mean by identify? You mean victims' names that were released that shouldn't have been?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then
So
also other
so under the Epstein Transparency Act, we had 30 days to redact and release under the law that was passed 3 million documents. If you stack those up, that's the height of the Eiffel Tower. No other administration, under the Biden administration, they released 0 documents. So we did our very best to comply with the law. And of course, we don't want any victim to be further victimized. And that's why we had 500 attorneys with the Criminal Division, with the National Security Division, with the FBI working around the clock to do the best we could. I think it was less than 1% error. Todd, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, no, that's right. We said from the beginning that any mistakes that were made, and there should be no mistakes. And so when you say lawyers have said something, that's not a fair question, and you know it, because we took pains to protect victims. When someone identified that there was a victim, we immediately pulled that document down, fixed it, and put it back up.
Immediately.
And so of course we don't ever want to do anything to re-victimize anybody that was victimized by the horrible crimes of Mr. Epstein, and we didn't to the extent that mistakes were made, and there were mistakes made because of the reasons the Attorney General just said. But when they were identified to us, we fixed them immediately.
And let me be clear on this case. This case has spanned multiple administrations. It started under Bush. It went to Obama. It went to Biden. We were the only, no documents were released, only under the Trump administration. And we released 3 million documents, had 500 attorneys working on that, complying with the law the best we could, and protecting victims in doing it.
Madam Attorney General, this
ahead.
has been quite an odyssey for you. This began with an encounter you had with some activists in the Roosevelt Room where you handed out some binders. Then there was a discussion, a statement that the FBI and DOJ put out that this investigation was over. Flash ahead to a couple of weeks ago, you had a very unusual appearance before the House Judiciary Committee. Do you have any regrets? Is there anything you might have done differently? And do you think that your comportment and the department's comportment in this have exacerbated the public's lack of trust in this process?
Well, let me repeat what I just said. This has spanned 4 administrations: Bush, Obama, well, Trump won, 45, where Jeffrey Epstein was prosecuted, and then Joe Biden's administration, where 0 documents were provided. We have provided 3 million documents, 3 million documents, the height of the Eiffel Tower, used 500 attorneys working around the clock, have identified, either they self-identified or through their attorneys, 1,200 victims who we did our very, very best to protect their identities. And so we're proud of the work that we've done on this.
Like
Go ahead. Next question.
Democrats on the committee walked out. They called it a, quote, fake hearing and said you were just trying to get around appearing for a deposition. Can you respond to those?
Sure. We were there to answer questions. It's the evening. We came at their convenience. We gave them really as much time as they wanted. And one congresswoman screamed C-SPAN wasn't in there, so she didn't want to ask questions. Yet all day long they've been on social media saying they had all these questions. We sat there saying, anything you want to ask us anything you want to ask us. And they screamed C-SPAN wasn't there, one of them, and then they stormed out of the meeting. So thank you all. Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you.
I just want to make some comments. We just walked out of what has been, quite frankly, complete disrespect of the process of one of our members And quite frankly, the American public should be outraged at what is happening right now. I want to just start by saying that we opened up what was supposed to be a briefing by asking the Attorney General, which I did multiple times, if she would commit to follow the subpoena that is in place that compels her to answer questions that's under oath, transcribed, and then made available to the American people. And she refused on multiple occasions to commit to following the subpoena that Chairman Comer actually just put out. I asked her repeatedly that question. Other members asked her that question, and she would not commit to it. It is outrageous, it's infuriating, and it continues this White House cover-up of the Epstein files. It's also clear to us that this is being staged as some kind of fake hearing. We're in the hearing room. We've all been given 3 minutes of time by the chairman to ask questions. There's no briefing. There was no actual opening statements by the Attorney General or the Deputy AG.
No oath.
There was no, of course, she's not under oath. And she would not commit to actually going under oath and following the law. And so we have been frustrated the second this thing started. We did not get to ask any questions. This has been completely set up in a way that's been irresponsible, and quite frankly, we believe a way for the Attorney General to get out of her answering questions under oath and to the public, which we will not accept. And one of our members also was, quite frankly, attacked and insulted by the chairman, which is also not acceptable. And so we're not going to take that anymore. We look forward to asking all of our questions of the Attorney General when she comes in a deposition, under oath, transcribed, and then made available to the American people. That's not what this is. And Congresswoman Lee?
I just want to say thank you to the ranking member because I think the Democrats of this committee have made clear from the very beginning that we are about transparency, accountability, and justice. What we witnessed today was absolutely a farce. From the very beginning, AG Bondi has been obstructing justice. She has perjured herself multiple times, and she has been withholding critical documents that would inform this investigation into a pedophile, into corruption, and possibly quite deeper, because we do not know who was all involved. Today, what their attempt was to push this under the rug, do something off the record that they would not have to be accountable for. So today I did not direct my questions to AG Bondi because she already told us in the hearing that she would not come, or she could not commit to coming to our lawful subpoena in a deposition. So instead I asked Chairman Comer if he would compel her to come to our deposition. If she did not come, would he force her to, or if he would move for contempt hearings as he did for other people who did not respond to our subpoena. Instead of answering as an adult, he said that I was bitching, which is, again, something that would not be allowed if we were operating under the rules of this committee, because engaging in personalities is actually something that we are not able to do. If C-SPAN and the public were there, I'd imagine that he would not act that way. Neither here nor there, we expected AG Bondi to be adversarial. We expected her to be confrontational. And we expected her to not offer us much information. But that's why I introduced impeachment articles, because she has already been obstructing justice. She has already weaponized the DOJ. She has already ended investigations into Trump and his allies. She has used this role essentially as one to help the president. She does not answer to the president. The DOJ does not have the right or the privilege of withholding information from an active investigation, ignoring the laws of our land, which the Epstein Transparency Act is, with our subpoena from last July is. And the oversight Dems will continue to press for accountability. We'll continue to press for justice for survivors while also keeping them centered in this. So at the end of the day, we are still here seeking answers for women, for girls, and for the American public who has demanded justice, who have demanded answers to this, and whether or not they will pretend that the documents that they've given us is enough, we already know that they have not complied, and we are asking other people to make sure that we do not let them off the hook right now. So we look forward to her on-the-record deposition with our committee in response to our lawful subpoena.
I'll say a few more things, and I'm going to open up for questions, and if anyone wants to answer the questions. So just as a review, 'cause I think it's very important, this fake hearing we found out about it yesterday with no time to prepare, with no format given to us. We had no idea what the even format was going to be until just an hour or two before this kind of fake hearing that was set up. And it was clear from the minute it started that the Attorney General is trying to evade and not attend the mandated subpoena that is put in place. We asked her that question. Multiple members asked her the question. She would not respond. She said she'll continue to follow the law. That is not a response. She has a subpoena in place by Chairman Comer.
All right, well, appreciate the Attorney General coming in for a briefing. This was a voluntary briefing, and at least majority got to ask a lot of substantive questions. It was very disappointing what the Democrats have done. I believe that was premeditated. They came out clutching their pearls, complaining that she wasn't answering any questions and things like that. The first three people to ask questions, all they did was complain. All they did was complain. They didn't ask any questions. The Attorney General's here, but they said they wanted C-SPAN in here. They want the cameras, and very, very typical behavior of the Democrats. Very disappointing, because I really felt like there were a lot of the Democrat members that cared about getting the truth. But I've never seen members storm out of a briefing with the Attorney General and the entire leaders of the Department of Justice are there to answer questions, and they don't ask a single question. So, but I think what we heard today helped us. We'll continue with our investigation and move forward. Any questions? Andy?
Will you still move forward with the subpoena for Attorney General?
That's
Bondi
what we plan on doing.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If Attorney General Pam Bondi does not comply with the subpoena, will you commit to go down the road of contempt?
Well, we'll have to talk about it. I will tell you, some of the members who voted to subpoena her today were pretty embarrassed by the way the Democrats acted and their lack of sincerity in having her in.
But will you hold the Attorney General to the same standard?
Well, we'll have to talk about it. We'll have to talk about it as a committee. So.
Chairman, when you say some of the members who voted for the subpoena were, like you said, embarrassed, those are Republican members who voted for the subpoena? Did they ask her pressing questions in the room?
They did.
Okay.
Hard-hitting, substantive questions.
And what was the
Well, and I told the Attorney General, I spoke on numerous occasions. I was like, we are serious about this investigation. This isn't a political game. Our constituents want answers. The American people want answers. We want to work with you. If we're going down a lane where you have an ongoing investigation, then tell us. We don't want to interfere or impede, but we plan on moving forward. We plan on getting answers for the American people, and hopefully we'll be able to get more answers. And I think everyone hopes that some people are held accountable to where we can get some accountability. But as I've said earlier, we're seeing accountability. There are over a dozen men and women who have already resigned from very powerful, prestigious boards because of what has come out in public. And what's come out in public is because of the oversight subpoena of the DOJ documents and the oversight subpoena of the Epstein estate documents. So I'll do one more question.
Congresswoman Summerlee said that you told her that she was, quote, bitching about something in the room. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
What? What was she?
Well, she was just complaining about the format. And that was the fourth Democrat to ask questions, and they didn't ask any questions. They did not ask any questions. I'm like, my goodness, this is Attorney General. You've been complaining. And this is why I think they did that. Because they've worked with some of you in the media to try to create a false narrative that there's a cover-up. Does it look like a cover-up? The Attorney General and Blanche and all the top brass at the DOJ in here to answer questions, and yet they don't ask a single question. The only questions they ask, will you commit to coming in for a deposition? Will you commit to coming in for a deposition? They didn't ask a single question. Where are we on the documents? Do you say there's an ongoing investigation? Do you think anyone is about to be prosecuted? Was Jeffrey Epstein an agent? These are questions that we ask in the depositions, and they had an opportunity to ask, and they didn't. But fortunately for everyone in the public who wants answers and who wants transparency and accountability, fortunately the Republicans on the committee asked a lot of questions. So,
Mr. Chairman, a follow. Do you want her to testify under oath, you personally?
I mean, I want to talk to everyone. I want to talk to everyone. I don't.
But this was not.
I personally don't see any reason for her to do a deposition. She's the sitting Attorney General. She's turning over documents. I think the Democrats want to do this to embarrass her. I did not vote for the subpoena to bring her in for a deposition. I want to bring in the bad guys for the deposition. I want to bring in the men who have abused women. I want to bring in anyone who is involved in the prosecution or lack of prosecution of Epstein, Maxwell, and some of these other guys. So that's where I think our time and energy should be spent. But we had 5 Republicans vote with the Democrats. And again, the Democrats had an opportunity to ask questions. They didn't ask a single pertinent question.
Is the White House reaching out to some of these Republicans who voted for the subpoena? Do you think
Not to my knowledge. You'll have to ask the White House. I'll do one more question.
Mr. Comer, do you think today's briefing helps satisfy any of those members who were
The
looking for
Democrats?
more Republicans?
I think the
Who wanted more
Republicans that had concerns, now Ms. Mace wasn't able to be here today, but, you look at the other ones that voted for the subpoena, they asked very tough, substantive, hard-hitting questions and pressed her on some answers. So I don't know. You'll have to ask them, but I feel like that they were happy with the dialogue, and this isn't the end. We want to keep working with the Department of Justice because we sincerely want to get every answer that every curious, credible media outlet has and every curious, credible American has. But, what I saw today, quite frankly, was the Democrats trying to, embarrass Pam Bondi, trying to get that clip for Rachel Maddow tonight on MSNBC, trying to somehow salvage their false narrative that there's a cover-up and that Trump's guilty of crimes. It's very disappointing because, as I've said a million times to you all, and I will walk out of here, the investigation is about getting justice for the victims. The investigation's about getting transparency for the American people. The investigation's about trying, if in any way possible, to hold many people accountable, recognizing the fact that some of these crimes were committed 30 years ago. We're going to keep pressing forward. We've got 8 people coming in. We have 7 depositions scheduled. We've asked the security guard to come in. If she doesn't, she will get a subpoena. There are some other people on our radar list. We're going to ask some of the people that we bring in for depositions some questions to maybe determine whether or not we're going to bring in more people for depositions. We expect Lutnick to come in very soon. We have some members of the committee have questions for him. No one's accusing him of any wrongdoing. But at the end of the day, I hope you all recognize, we've brought in Bondi for question. We brought in Bill Barr for a deposition. We brought in Alex Acosta. We're going to bring in Lutnick. I don't ever remember the Democrat. I've been on the committee 9 years, the whole time I've been in Congress. I don't ever remember Elijah Cummings or Carolyn Maloney bringing in a single Democrat prominent person for anything. So this isn't about party. This, for us, for the Republicans, it's about getting answers. For the Democrats, it's a political game, and they just demonstrated that today. There's no reason for them to walk out and clutch their pearls and act like they were offended and outraged and everything else. My gosh. I think the American people saw their true colors today, and but that's not going to deter the Republicans from moving forward. So thank you all for being here.